Hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 of the Wave Survival Game tutorial. In this episode we're going to be getting our enemy in, and moving and functioning and all that fun stuff that goes along with it. And by the end we'll have an enemy that we can eliminate by shooting it. So, to begin, this is where you need the third-person shooter template from Unreal. So you're going to want to find wherever you saved it. I keep mine in a source folder. And we're going to go into content. We're going to need the first-person file as well. So go into content, third-person blueprints, and we want the third-person character. And we're going to go ahead and put that in our folder over here. Just copy that over. Oh, copy that over. Okay, so we'll go into content, mannequin, character. Actually, you know what? We could probably take that whole mannequin folder. And we're just going to put it right into our content. And that should be everything that we need. Yeah, so it's already in the engine. And yeah, so there's our third-person character, animations, all that stuff that we could, just some extra stuff. You can see when we pop it in there, it puts in a full person, which is perfect. It has, however, some extra stuff that we don't need. So we're going to take care of that right now. So the first thing we can do is clear out all of this, because we're not going to be doing any input. We're not going to be controlling this character. So we don't actually need any of that stuff. So we'll go into the viewport, click on the camera, and just delete it. Don't need it. You can also delete it from the component editor up in the corner. You can get rid of the camera boom as well. To compile that, we'll go back to the event graph. We can delete these variables as well, because we don't actually need them. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to add a component, and we're going to look for pawn sensing. So now it's going to be, if you go into the viewport, compile, it has a cone now for a radius, a look radius. So now it's going to be looking for things inside that radius, and you can adjust that over here, make it smaller or bigger, however you want it. From here, you want to click on pawn sensing and go over to the events down in the corner. We want the first one, on C pawn. So hit the plus to add that event. And we're going to cast to our first person character. Cast to first person character. And we're going to connect the pawn to the object node. Next, just grab AI move 2. Pop that in. And target actor is going to be first person character. And we're also going to get a reference to self and just pop that into the pawn node. So compile, save, and now if we pop in a character and hit play, Oh, you know what? I forgot a very important thing. So, before this will even work, we need to add nav mesh bounds volume, so that our third-person character here knows where it can actually walk. Oops. So we're just going to scale it up to the size of your play area. Doesn't have to be too perfect. So now what we'll do, I believe it's, yeah, P. If you hit P, it'll show you all this green area, which means our character can walk around in it. If you don't see this green area, try building the geometry, and that way it should recognize what's on the ground and where everything is, and should work after that. So now, hit play, and he moves towards us and chases us down. And you can change the speed of the character and make him slower, faster, however you want. But at the moment, shooting him does nothing. So that's going to be our next task. I'm going to open up the first-person projectile. And we're just going to set collision component on component hit destroy actor. As you could see, there was a whole bunch of extras laying around. We don't need the extra projectiles laying around the scene. It's going to start to cause a backlog. Alright. So we don't need that anymore. And the first thing, so we're going to need a collider on this. So go up to the component, add component, and we're going to get capsule collision. And leave that under the capsule component. So I'm going to call that collider. And you can make multiple ones for the head and body. It's definitely something that can be done easily. So we'll just go ahead and scale that all the way up. Kind of get it wrapped around as best we can. Yeah, that should be all right. File, save, go back to the event graph. So now we're going to need an event for this collider on component hit. And we're going to cast it to the first person projectile. So now take the other actor node to attach it to the object, and simply destroy actor. I believe that's what we need. So now if we test it out, yep, boom. So he just disappears, which is, it's not the most beautiful thing. Could probably put a delay in between just to make it a little bit more of a transition. Maybe half a second. So there, we've got a enemy character. You can shoot at it and it'll disappear. Alright. So now we want to make some spawners, because we don't want to put a bunch of enemies in the scene. And also if we have multiple spawners, then we can do progressive waves. And we don't have to worry about placing enemies down in the scene at all. So, to start that, we're going to need another blueprint class. We just need another actor, blueprint. Call this one Wave 1 Spawner. Go ahead and open that up. And we're just going to put a box collision. It's not actually going to do anything. Like, we're not going to collide with it at all. It's merely the area that the enemies are going to emerge from. So go into the event graph, and we'll get rid of these two here. We'll need the event tick, because what we'll start with a custom event, call it timer, and that way we have a bit of a delay before the enemies all show up, because it's going to drop them in all at once. With that being said, you don't want to create a huge amount, otherwise it starts to get really choppy and can't really play the game. So from the timer, we'll grab a branch, B and left click, connect those two, and we're going to create a new variable. Call it has been delayed. Leave that, compile, save, leave that as false. Alright, so we're going to get that, control left mouse and drag it over and attach that to the condition. And if it's false, we're going to delay, let's say 5 seconds. And then we're going to set has been delayed to true. So that just gives us a buffer in between the beginning of the wave. And from the event tick, just add the timer call function. So from there, we'll actually get into the spawning of the enemies. So we'll need another custom event. Call it Wave 1. Yeah. And we'll delay 0.2. And that'll actually, it won't drop them all in at once with the delay in there. It should stagger it for us, make things a little more manageable. From there, we're going to get all actors of class. From the drop down, select our third person character. Probably easier just to search it. Third person character. So from there, I'm going to need a branch. B left click. Attach those, pull off of out actors and get length, pop that under there, and then we're going to get an equals to integer, equals. So we're going to add another variable after that, call it max enemies. So for however many you want in the scene to be spawned. Change that to an integer, because we're not spawning an enemy and a half, we're spawning whole enemies. We'll set that to 6, why not? grab that. I'm going to get it and attach that into our equals. So that way when it's spawned 6 times, or the code is run 6 times, and there's 6 enemies, it'll stop. Put that in the condition. And then if that's true, we're going to destroy actor. Well, I can't spell. And that'll destroy our spawner. So we need a number for it to actually increase for the enemies in the scene to reach the max enemies, kind of like with our ammo. So we'll add another integer, call this enemies spawned. Yeah, that's probably good. And compile, leave that at 0. So if it's false, if there's not 6 enemies in the scene, we're going to set enemy spawned, and we're simply going to add 1. Get enemy spawned plus 1. So from there, we're going to spawn AI from class. And again, we're going to look for our third-person character. So now we need the location. We need to tell it where to spawn. And we're going to pull off the location and get random point and navigable radius. So we're going to get a random point within our collision box. So from there, we're going to get world location of the box, and it's already attached. And that we'll need one more thing, but we can't set it yet. We're gonna need to we can't, so we'll actually need to duplicate this one. So go back into our main game here, right click, duplicate, call it wave 2. Get rid of that one at the end. Open that up. We're going to change the event to wave 2. Come on over here. We can leave that. We'll change the max enemies. Just call it 8. So we'll go back to wave 1. And at the spawn AI from class, we're going to pull off there and spawn actor from class. So in the class, we're going to select our wave 2 spawner. And since we wanted to be in the exact same spot as our first one, we're going to get the world location from our box and stick it to the spawn transform. So now, once it's spawned, whoa, hold on. We don't want this up here. We want this over with the destroyed actor. So true. We want to spawn the next box and then destroy the actor. Yeah. So compile, save. And you can do this infinitely. Just keep adding this end part. Keep duplicating the spawners and changing the numbers. And since it's creating the next one once the first wave is done being created, you don't have to worry about a whole bunch of boxes being stuck in the scene and creating a backlog. So we'll go back into our scene and pop in our wave 1 spawner. Make it nice and big. Like that. Alright, so let's give this a shot. So it should be counting down. Well, it didn't work. Clearly. Let's open it back up. Let's figure out what the heck happened here. Oh, you know what? Because I forgot to call the function for the wave. So, after it's been delayed, true wave 1. And while we're at it, we'll compile save, and we'll do the same thing in wave 2. Alright, let's try this again. There they are. So they're all spawning. Got 1, 2, 3. Now they're all spawning in the center. But they are spawning. And when we shoot our projectile, when it hits something, it disappears. So there we go. We've got enemies spawning in the scene. So they were spawning in the center because I didn't change the radius in the get random point. Without that, if there's no radius, then it's all going to be in the same spot. So we can set that to 10,000. Should be plenty. And now when we go in and hit play, they should kind of pop up everywhere. There's one. Yeah, they're all over the place. Perfect. Hello, friend. So we can change the radius of how close they get, because clearly when you're too close, the projectile just goes right through it. So that's not too hard. Open up the third person character. So we'll go to, if you want them to stay a little farther back, you can change the acceptance radius to 10 or whatever. You just want to make sure you don't want to make it too far away, because when we add health to the character and enable the enemies to damage, we're going to need them to be close enough where the collision can happen and register the damage. So yeah, we've got enemies in the scene now, and they chase after us, and we can shoot them. So there you go. That's going to end this episode. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to comment, and see you in the next part.